Shamin Malende, our Minister for Justice, of course the Chief Whip in tow, Mr. Muwonge, the NUP Secretary General, the Honorable Santa Okot, the PPP Whip, and Member of Parliament for Padel District in the room. Briefly, Ms. Lisa was here, Tillerson was here, her being the Assistant Secretary for Human Rights, Democracy and Labor, to namely ascertain the voices, the claims, human rights violations in Uganda. Uganda is not operating in an island. We are part of the global family of democracy, and therefore our actions filter through the family of humans, and therefore the US being a key partner in our democratization process, it gets interested in matters that relate to our democratization. You are aware that the action of the regime over the last 2 or so years have been in the public arena for all to see. But perhaps there are those out there that believe that the issues are exaggerated, and therefore some of them desire to come and have a feel and smell the air about these issues. That's the reason why Madam Lisa was here with her team, together with the ambassador, to share with us. We have had a meeting involving all the party whips from the opposition side and a few members of the opposition that we managed to invite. So I don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of the conversation, but essentially that was the peak of our conversation. I'll ask my president to initially respond to questions from you. Thank you. In other words, I'm saying he's not going to respond to everything, but he will respond to specific issues of your interest. And if there are no issues of interest, then he will take leave immediately. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Bruce from South Media. Has this come at a time when questions continue to be raised, coupled with the variety of events that have unfolded? Recently, we saw the opposition intending to move a motion to censure the Minister for Security. Today, the ministers appeared before the Human Rights Committee and still insists that your allegations are wrong. You still dismiss his claims that they are safe houses. Did you happen to discuss about this? Besides this, did you also talk about the plight of the two MPs who are still battling in court? Government continue to produce more cases, introducing more cases. Did you discuss about this during your interaction with her? Thank you.
You is Mr. Rondo.
My name is Moses Rondo. I'm aware that in your interaction with different government partners, one of their major points or request they put to you is the need to conduct talks with government. And this is something that has been in the public. We would like to know what circumstances has any UP leaders you have talks with ENR government to iron out your political differences, including addressing different concerns violation of human rights? That we've seen some of these things happen in other countries like Kenya, where opposition leaders and leaders of the ruling party keep meeting and iron out. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Julius Kuchana. I work with NBS Television. Like as you said, the diplomatic call from the US Embassy was kind of state level on the exploration in a couple of your, some of your members. But I want to understand what's next after sustaining these violations of human rights. But again, my next question is about the Honorable Zake has filed this morning in the registrar's petition on his impeachment as a commissioner. I want to understand from the president of the NEP, what is his stand on Zake's move to go to court and all the other issues, because we expected, and this to have a say yesterday in the statements of the NEP reported, and unfortunately, it was equally for some, maybe other events. But since he's here, he will let us know about his take on the commissioner position and what's next as the party for Zake. For the Honorable Zake, so thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to take these on first, then probably others will arise in due course.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm glad to be addressing you from this platform. Indeed, to reassert the words of the leader of opposition, we were able to paint a clear picture from the ground to the diplomats that visited, and reascertain what they've been seeing in the media and other sources of constant human rights abuse, constant disrespect and undermining of the rule of law. And again, we reiterated our call for action. We expressed appreciation for the constant statements that come from the United States administration about the plight of Ugandans, but again we called for firmer action because what is happening in Uganda, what General Museveni is doing to the people of Uganda is exactly, or rather more, as Mugabe did to the people of Zimbabwe, as Bashir did to the people of Sudan, as Taylor did to the people he was governing. All these were sanctions. We called for the same treatment to General Museveni over the same atrocities. We were asked about the torture reports and the dismissal of the Minister of Security of the same. I'm sure none of you is surprised by the response of the regime on torture, but being members of the media, you have witnessed numerous cases of torture and human rights abuse by this regime. They, of course, will not, admit it, but it's clear that there's constant human rights abuse, where General Museveni has numerously come out to chase them and congratulate his soldiers for a job well done. You all remember the 18th and 19th November massacre of 2020, where hundreds of innocent citizens, including women and children, were massacred. General Museveni came out chest thumping and the like. So it is not upon us to explain how and why the Minister of Security denied the same, but it's clear that every culprit will make every effort to deny their culpability. The other question is a rather laughable one. Talks with the regime about what? We have made it unequivocally clear that you cannot put your boot on our neck and then say, let us stop. It is free men and women that negotiate, not prisoners. All the examples that you've given, the circumstances were different. In Kenya, the opposition was not being stifled and being called for talks. You will not speak to a dictator unless when you are in a strong position to speak. We believe in dialogue. But again, we're not going to dialogue with wild animals. The regime in Uganda is clearly behaving like wild animals. It's rather laughable to talk about negotiations when our people are being abducted, tortured, and murdered on a daily, when there's absolute disrespect of human rights and the rule of law. So there is no and will be no talks when the atmosphere is continuously like that. What's next after the visit of the diplomats? We continue to push for action, for farmer action. We've done this on international platforms, and we have to take the opportunity to do the same here on ground where there's visible evidence. We call for farmer action from the international community. We call for isolation of the regime in Uganda. We continue to call for making the rule of law, respect for democracy and human rights a precondition for cooperation with Uganda. We continue to call upon international development partners to not be seen to associate with a clear military dictator that Museveni is. That is our position on that. My stand on the Honorable Zake's plight. I have numerously been well represented by our leaders, by the Office of the Leader of Opposition, by our parliamentary team and our spokespersons, and I don't differ from that position. You all know, if you care to follow the law and to follow the rules of procedure in Parliament, that Honorable Zake's censure was irregular. Everything was done in an illegal manner. We don't believe in illegalities, and we disagree with them. We continue to disagree with them. As far as we are concerned, the Honorable Francis Zake is our commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other outlier issues before we I'll invite the president to someone is in Uganda to reflect, to respond to issues.
Oluganda sawa z'Oluganda nga mungikiriza ku saawa empisa. Amwebale nnyo basebo ne banyabo. Tusinkanye team okuva e Washington nga bali wamu ne ambassador wa United States wane Uganda ng'abazze okwekennenya ddala okakasa amawulire ge babadde bafuna n'ebimu bye babadde beerabirako mu mikutu egy'amawulire n'emikutu emirala kubibadde birabibwa n'ebyogerwa mu kulinnyira eddembe ly'obuntu, okulinnyira enfuga ey'amateeka n'enfuga eya demokrasiya. Bingi tubyogeddeko ng'era leader of opposition bw'abannyonnyodde, naye era tuzeemu okubibateera ku mmeeza n'okubawa ebiwandiiko ebikakasa nti bye boogera si byapa si byambu wabula bya ddala. Pozi era tukozesezza guno mukisa okubasaba okubeebaza olwa ebiwandiiko namutayika ebyenjawulo bye baadde nga bafulumya okuvumirira effuga birigenda maaso mu Uganda. Ne tubasaba baleme kukoma ku biwandiiko byokka wabula wabeewo ebikolebwa ebyenkalakkalira. Tubajjukiza nti bannakyemalira abafaanana nga Museveni, Bamugabe, ba Omar el-Bashir, Bateira bwe baakolanga ebikolobero ku bantu baabwe ebifaanana nga John Museveni byali mukola ku bannayuganda, wabaawo ekyakolebwa. Era ne tubasaba nti mu nkola y'emu twagala wabeerewo action oba wabeewo ebikolebwa okweyawula ku Mwai Museveni n'okumusaako natti ez'enjawulo. Tubuziddwa ku kyokutulugunya abantu ne Minister wa Security ogenda mu kakiiko k'eddembe ly'obuntu aka Parliament n'abyegaana. Munajjukira nti nange bwe nali nga nkyali member wa Parliament nali ntuula akakiiko ak'eddembe ly'obuntu era twayita Minister wa Security, naye nga bw'eri nkola yaabwe boogera na lujeregerero bagenda maaso n'okugenda okukyalira safe houses ebalimuza okulugunya abantu okwo tekuggwangawo kukyagenda maaso n'olunaku lwaleero. naye nga bwe mumanyi tikufugibwa ku mulimu gwa Mungu ate ekyewuunyisa okulaba nga beeganyizo kyendaba birira ekisekererwa ekyokwogeraganya ne gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni. Njagala mumanye eggwanga limanye buli amanyi tukiririza mu kwogeraganya ng'abantu naye mu mbeera kubaawo kwogeraganya na gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni okuleka nga tulina eddembe lyaffe nga bannayuganda era twogere ng'abantu bannansi abeetemeredde. Mutubuuze ekiddako oluvannyuma lw'ensinkana eno n'abaka abavudde mu gavumenti y'Amerika. Ekiddako sobola kibagamba nti kino oba kino naye tugenze mu maaso n'okusaba kwe kumu mawanga gaabwe tusabye nga tuli mawanga g'e Bulaaya okusaba kwaffe tubasabye bagoberera nfuganya amateeka so buli balabibwa nga bali ne Mwami Museveni baba nga abawagira bannakyemalira obuzimba emisango Mwami Museveni bwakulembera. N'ekirala tubasabye baseewo obukwakulizo obwo